Good morning, everybody. It's an enormous pleasure to be here, and thank you very much indeed for the opportunity to be able to talk to you this morning. I'm going to have to speak in English, I'm afraid. My language skills are not that well developed. I have an Olympic gold medal for talking, and so I'm going to try and keep it relatively brief this morning. I've had the opportunity yesterday of being able to address a workshop about collaborative research, and that was a very interesting session. I have more opportunity tomorrow, of course, to talk about the sorts of things that interest me and I hope will interest you. So this morning I'm only going to give a short taster of the things that might arise tomorrow. Pardon me. I'm part of the education department at Brunel. I have a background in science, in particular in physics. And there was a period of time in the past when I was very interested in statistical research and correlational statistics in particular. More recently, I've developed a very strong interest in qualitative research and the ways in which we can actually access some of the life stories of the students that I work with. I'm particularly interested in teaching and learning within institutions like universities and schools, but also outside of universities and schools as well, in society in general. I'm going to focus particularly on storytelling and on qualitative data and how we manage all of that agenda within research. So tomorrow, I'm advertising today for the workshop, particularly about narrative. I'm interested in the way in which people talk about themselves, tell stories about themselves, the way that we can look into their lives through the opportunities they offer us to explore the kind of person that they are. I want to be able to talk about how we can recognize the value of narrative data. I'm interested in their life stories through the lens of their own explorations, through their own ethnographies, if you like, their autoethnographies. I want to explore how we can do that, what the frameworks, the theoretical frameworks and the philosophical frameworks are for managing that kind of data. We are the stories we tell about ourselves, and I'm conscious of the fact that, for example, with my colleagues in Brunel over dinner last night, we explore all kinds of facets of who we are, and we tell our stories. And there are occasions when I'm walking away from dinners like that and I think, what kind of impression did I give people last night? What kind of a person am I? Is that the image that I've created? Because what we are aware of course, is that we present different facets of ourselves at different times in life in different contexts. And the kind of identity and narrative identity that people offer up as learners, as teachers, are the sorts of things that interest me now. So I'm interested in talking about how we collect that data, the extent to which people allow us to collect that data, the lenses through which we can undertake analysis of that data, and what we can make of it, what we can do with it. As I say, we are the stories we tell about ourselves, and that's true both in terms of our own personal identities, but also in terms of our professional identities and our institutional identities, so that Brunel becomes the kind of place that we talk about and the kinds of things that we say about it. But we do that about our countries as well. We have a national identity, and the extent to which I am a representative of parts of the UK, not all of it by any means, it becomes us to be able to sort of talk about how those things work through in the cultures in which we live. What is my life like? You're not interested in my life. I am, but you're not. But I'm interested in the lives of learners and the way in which they talk about the learning that they do. And learning is an enormous topic. You can imagine that there are libraries full of books about learning. And it seems to me that one of the things that's of enormous interest is listening to my undergraduates as I'm talking to them, the kinds of context and background that they come from, how they've arrived at Brunel, what they bring with them, where they go from that point onwards in their evolution as learners. How do I relate to people? Who are other people who are like me? These are all parts of the ways in which we actually discuss our narrative identities. I want to talk in particular about a study that we're doing within the Department of Education at Brunel. It's focused on 6 young women who are part of schooling in our neighborhood, 6 young Asian women, and I'm working with 2 colleagues, Dr. Geeta Ludra and Dr. Saima Saliji, and it's taken over a year of quite intensive data collection, working alongside these young women, listening to the kind of stories they want to tell us. You can imagine that over a period of a year, we've collected a tranche of data that derives from long, informal, and semi-formal conversations with them, what we call conversational interviews, as well as their own writings and the kinds of opportunities and windows that they offer us in order to be able to understand some of the things that interest them. I have 2 workshops, so this is number 2. Actually, it appears first on the program tomorrow, but I've made the cardinal mistake of putting them the wrong way around this morning. In this one, I'm interested in how we generate quality from qualitative data. How do we begin to work through what is entailed in terms of quality, in particular the validation and the validation processes of qualitative data? So I'm interested in what we mean by validity, what that quality markers are for qualitative data, a framework for how we might begin to explore this. I think probably most of the PhD students I work with are engaged in qualitative data analysis. And it seems to me that one of the things we explore with them and through their work is a framework for assessing and marking out the quality of that particular kind of research and those data that they've got. And the analysis that they undertake, what they make of it as the consequence and implications, just how firm is that data and data analysis to allow them to stand on it momentarily in order to be able to look out and see what are the implications, what are the impact of the work that they've been doing. I'm going to choose in this instance a different study with a colleague called Dr. Nick Crow, where we've been looking at online ethnography. Again, the stories of young women, online stories of the kinds of things that they get up to in UK society. Actually, because it's online, we can never be absolutely certain, of course, that they are in the UK. Actually, because it's online, we cannot be absolutely certain that they are young women. They tell us that they are, and they tell us that they're in the UK. But because of the nature of the internet and being online, we have to take that on trust to a very large degree. And at that point, you begin to worry about just exactly how valid is that data? How strong is it? What can we say about it? What can we do with it? That's it. Now, I'm certain that if you've got questions, I'd be the last person to discourage those questions right now. However, because I've got opportunity tomorrow to answer questions, maybe you might want to think about them and store them slightly.